in Parashat Vayikra, maybe if we have time, Parashat Tzav. There are several parshiot in this portion of the Torah that deal with sacrifices. Obviously, since there are so many parshiot, so many pesukim dedicated to this topic, it must be that the sacrifices are important. People misunderstand them. They think Hashem likes sacrifices. It's not that Hashem likes it, it's for our benefit. And it's very symbolic in its nature, very significant in what it accomplishes. The way it works is as follows. There's a system that Hashem created in the world that if one commits an error, does not follow the instructions that Hashem gave him, and as a result of that he becomes distant from his Creator, because the sins create or generate partitions between him and his Creator, Hashem nevertheless gave him the opportunity, gave mankind the opportunity to be able to fix his mistakes. Even though the mistake was committed, it is possible to fix, it is possible to repair, it is possible to get closer, to get back to where we were in the very beginning. The human being, and especially the Jewish people, are in a very high status, very elevated status, because of their job, their position, not necessarily because of who they are. A lot of Jews don't behave themselves, right? But the neshama itself, the soul, their tafkid, their job that they were given, is a very elevated job, and therefore any mistake committed is much more grave than if any ordinary human being commits a mistake. It's just like anywhere else where you have various levels, various functions, people have different jobs. A general is of course on a higher level than a foot soldier, and the like. So more is expected of the person who's on top, and his mistakes are much more serious. So there is a system in place that Hashem put in that if mistakes are made, they can be repaired. And it's important that they be repaired because, as I've said, I've emphasized this a lot in the past, these mistakes create distance. And the distance comes with partitions. In other words, one who wants to pray to God, wants to come close, he has a hard time. You talk to him, and he doesn't listen because he's so far removed that he doesn't see. This is after many, many years, after an accumulation of many sins. He doesn't see that he's wrong, that he needs to come back. So the further one is removed, the more difficult it is for him to come back, the less he sees a need for it. And obviously, for that reason alone, it is important to fix a mistake as soon as possible. The sooner the better. So Hashem has put in this system of repair called Teshuvah in place, and part of this system involves korbanot sacrifices. The sacrifice is intended to be symbolic in nature, partly to remind him of his animal act that he committed. An animal does not act with free will, does not think about his actions, so therefore one who commits an avon, which is a form of rebellion against God, as the rabbis tell us, it must be because the ruach shtut echnasabo, he must be stupid. He must have had a spirit of folly, as they say in English, that entered his mind prior to him committing this, because how could he go against the Almighty? So ruach shtut, but we have a yetzer hara, that of course is partly to blame, but we have free will and we can control ourselves. So Hashem, realizing that we are made of flesh and blood, gives us the opportunity to bring an animal sacrifice, which is to remind us of the animal act that we did not behave as human beings created in the image of God. The animal is also a penalty. It costs money. You spend money. Just like we give tzedakah today, we give charity. The animal is also a penalty. And on top of all of that, of course, the sacrifice itself, the rituals, help in atoning. The Kohanim would intercede on our behalf and help in the atonement process for every Jew and for the entire Jewish nation. This particular system is unfortunately not in existence today. We don't have sacrifices, we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, but we have something in its place. That's called tefillah. As the rabbis tell us, the world stands on three things: on Torah, on avodah, on Torah, on the service of God, and on doing acts of kindness, chesed. Avodah zu tefillah, the rabbis tell us, it's prayer, and it's also the korbanot when we have korbanot. They're both very close. They're in a way synonymous because they accomplish the same thing. It's intended for us to get close to Hashem. That is the root, or one of the roots of the word korban, litkarev, karov, come close. Because when doing teshuvah, what we're doing is rahu shavim. We want to come back. We want to get close. We want to have a good relationship with Him. That is the idea of the korban. There is a pasuk in Parashat Vayikra that says lirtzono lifnei Hashem. Something I spoke a little bit about on Shabbat. That when Hashem asks for sacrifice, He doesn't necessarily want the animal. He wants it that it should be lifnei Hashem. What does that mean? I gave him a mashal of a store owner who used to do a lot of business with this individual. That individual passed away, and he noticed that the son no longer did business by him. He always went somewhere else to buy his merchandise. And he wished that the son would also continue doing business just like his father did. And he asked him one day, "Want to come by? I'd love to speak to you for an hour or two." And he eventually convinced him. So this son used to come by and chat for a few minutes every day. And he left. After a couple of weeks of doing the same thing of just talking and talking and talking, and he noticed that the son wasn't buying anything. He said, "You know what, don't come back anymore." He said, "What did I do wrong? When I approached you, I didn't mean for you to really come and just talk to me. What I really intended was that you should buy by me, do business with me, not with someone else, just like your father did. Our forefathers did business with Hashem, right? Hashem wants us not to go elsewhere, to go seeking. He wants it that it should be lifnei Hashem. The sacrifice should be intended that we realize that this is for Hashem. For the sake of, in other words, that we spend time with Him, that we correct it for His sake. That is the purpose of the sacrifice. He doesn't need the animal itself. It's just an instrument of getting us closer, right? Come talk to me. And what's the goal? So you should buy by me. So this, ultimately, the korban, the karev, intended to remove that stain to an extent, with a combination, of course, of confession and remorse and a commitment that one will not repeat that mistake. The animal itself is not sufficient. You need all of that, and together with the animal, and depending on the avon, depending on sin, and maybe even the chaper. Chaper means complete atonement, where the stain is removed. That only happens sometimes with Yom Kippurim. That's what Yom Kippur means, the chaper to atone. But at least what he accomplishes is get back in good terms with Hashem. He gets close. Hashem soleach u'mocher. Soleach u'mocher, as opposed to kapara, means to forgive or to overlook. In other words, I won't punish you. I won't do you any harm. I push it aside. I ignore it. It doesn't mean that it's completely removed. The stain is not necessarily removed. But for that one needs Yom Kippurim, or Chas v'Shalom. It's a terrible sin that sometimes a person has pain and suffering in one's life. He becomes ill. He has a financial loss. All of these act as agents of kapara. Okay, so today that we don't have korbanot, we have prayer. What does the prayer accomplish? First of all, the prayer in itself is a communication with Hashem. When we pray to Him, we turn to Him, what we're saying is testimony to the fact that we rely on Him. We believe in Him. That is why we pray to Him. We turn to Him. So that in itself is a good exercise that we do every day, to not forget that we rely on Him. People wouldn't pray. People would have everything they need, money, their wives, their children, everything would be fine. They would never have a need to pray. And that is one of the reasons why sometimes Hashem holds back from giving an individual something. He wants to pray to me. You want a wife, a good wife? Ask for it. Behave yourself, of course, and ask for it. And if you ask for it sincerely, listen. Rabbi tells us those who shed tears in their prayers, the tears never come back. In other words, unanswered. At some point, Hashem stores them, and at some point, He takes those tears into consideration at the right time and gives this individual what he needs. As long as what he needs will not do him any harm. A lot of people think, if I only had money, I'd be happier. Hashem says, no, if I gave you the money, you would not be happier. It would destroy your life. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to make you miserable. So don't ask too much. It's always therefore best when we ask Hashem in our prayer something that we be very general about it. Hashem, you know what I need. Please don't ask, I want this girl. Maybe she's a witch. Maybe she won't be good for you. So we're general. Of course, when we're talking about health, be specific. Please help with this. Help this gentleman who's sick. We can ask about the Geulah, about the redemption. But in general, our personal requests, it's best to be general and not specific, because one does not know what's best for him. Only Hashem. So in the prayer, we communicate with Hashem, we show our reliance on Hashem, and ultimately, the prayer itself has the same similar characteristics as sacrifice. It allows us to connect or to come close to Hashem. As the Pasuk says, Karov Hashem lechol korav lechol asher yikreu be'emet. Hashem is close to those who call with sincerity. They don't fake it. They say what, they mean what they say. They don't just read from the Siddur. And there's a beautiful mashal about that. Maybe I'll start it now already. There was once a businessman who was going to go on vacation. And he had a big factory. And he's going to go away. His factory needs to continue working. Everything needs to function. There's machinery, there's employees, there are workers. He takes one of the guys and makes him a manager. He gives him a list of instructions to read, to make sure to oversee what is done every day, right? And sure enough, that's what the guy did. Every single day, he had a big meeting of all the employees, and he read word for word what the instructions were. When the owner came back, the boss came back after several weeks, he saw the place was a mess. The workers were not doing any of the work. A lot of the machines were in disrepair. He asked, what happened? Did you do what I told you? He says, yes, I read word for word. I gathered everybody and I read them the instructions, word for word. He says, tell me what you did, show me what you did. So he took out a piece of paper. I stood in front of all of them and I read the words. He says, you silly fool. I didn't mean for you just to stand there like a dumb person, just reading word for word, pronouncing the words. What that involves is looking after them too, making sure that they do what you were telling them to do. Not just to read. I didn't expect you just to read like a child, just to read instructions, read the words. What good is that? To make sure to oversee that they follow these instructions that you're telling them, not just to read. The same thing Hashem says, I don't want you just to come and pray to me by saying words. Just words. If you don't look into these words and apply it and adopt it into your life, right? I don't need you just to say words. What good is words? Put the words to practice. Do something about it. Mean what you say. That is what Hashem wants. That is the power of prayer. Prayer is very powerful. If one does it sincerely, he means what he says, he's careful with it, he prays with tzibur if possible, cries when he can. These are very powerful tools. People don't realize how powerful these tools are. They have a tremendous koach of reaching ad kisei hakavod until the Almighty. Okay, the next point in Parashat Vayikra is nefesh kitakriv, korban mincha, a soul that will bring a sacrifice mincha. Why does it say here soul? Usually it says adam ki yakriv. Here it says nefesh kitakriv. It's talking here about a poor man's sacrifice. A poor man's sacrifice is a mincha. He cannot afford a big animal. The Torah not only put the system in place of which sacrifice to bring. If one cannot afford a certain animal, a certain sacrifice, he can bring a smaller, a lesser, and that is a mincha, which would be of fine flour. So why does it say here the nefesh kitakriv? Because the poor man is giving all of what he has. This is as much as he can. He's giving his whole nefesh. It's like he's giving his whole body. It's not his body, but it's like it's a sacrifice. A true sacrifice for him, because he must have skimped on his food and other expenses in order to save a little bit of money so he can bring this mincha, the bare minimum for the korban of a sacrifice. So he's giving his whole nefesh. This is a tremendous lesson in doing for others as well. A mitzvah can be done in various ways. A mitzvah can be done just like that, in other words, without too much kavanah to it, without too much thought to it, not too much effort. Or a mitzvah can be done with sirut nefesh, with a lot of effort, self-sacrifice. It's the following story. There was once a rabbi who was in charge of a community, and people came to him with their needs and their questions. A woman comes in crying to him, Rabbi, I'm about to marry off my daughter, and this was my dream, to marry off my daughter to a Talmid Chacham, to a scholarly young man, but I have nothing to offer him. I need money, otherwise, I won't be able to find such good merchandise for my daughter. And I worked so hard, this is what I always wanted. Please help me out. So Rav says, I wish I was a rich man, that I could help you out, but I don't really have any money to help you. But I just thought of an idea. He went over to his kitchen and grabbed the 2 candle holders. They were made out of silver. So, somebody gave it to us for a gift. I know they're precious. I know you can benefit from them. I want to give it to you for your chatan, for your daughter. And of course, she smiled and she was overjoyed to receive such a beautiful gift, an expensive gift. And she went her way. The rabbi went over to his wife, who was not present at the time, and says, "Do you have 2 potatoes?" She says, "Yes, of course I do. What do you need 2 potatoes for?" Because they will be our future candle holders from now on. He was going to use for the following weeks or so until he was able to afford to buy himself some normal 2 potatoes. He was willing to sacrifice, in other words, these 2 silver candle holders, the beautiful silver candle holders that he used for Shabbat, his wife's candle holders. He gave it to this woman, and he could live off 2 potatoes. The story is, the moral of the story is obvious. That is that this is the sirut nefesh. This is a mitzvah which is done with your complete nefesh, with complete soul, with the spirit, with this idea in mind of doing true chesed, true tzedakah, with the right kavanot. Are willing to do everything that you can, everything that's in your possession, within your ability to do for this mitzvah. This demonstrates how much this mitzvah means to you. That's what it says here. The nefesh kitakriv, by a poor man, he's giving all that he has. He wants to give something. He wants to bring. And of course, the Torah considers his financial situation. So this small mitzvah, nevertheless, he does with his whole heart. That's why the Torah says he's doing it with nefesh, with his full spirit. You could also say that the reason it says here nefesh is because when a person brings a korban, he realizes how serious it is to that he committed, what he committed, what he did wrong. It's so serious that it touches him deep down. It touches his nefesh. Because ultimately, the het does not do harm to the physical body, it does harm to the nefesh. So when one brings the korban, what is he doing? He's doing something to atone for the nefesh. Nefesh is a little bit different than the neshama. The Torah uses the word nefesh to mean both, but in reality here it means the animalistic spirit that gives the drive to the human being. It's not the neshama, which is always clean, which was given by Hashem. The one that causes the chatayim to sin is the nefesh, it's the human spirit, which is more attached to the body itself, not the neshama. But sometimes people interchange the terms, nefesh, ruach, neshama. But they need separate things. Alright, there's quite a few sacrifices. We don't have the time to go through all the details, but you have something called hatat, which is an animal that was brought for a sin committed to shgaga, usually, by mistake, unintentional. The Kohanim took care of that. They ate from it. Parts were brought on the altar. You had the Korban Olah, which was completely burnt as a fire offering on the altar. Nobody ate from it, not the zoom. You had Shalamim. Shalamim comes from the word Shalom, complete. It's not brought for a sin. It could be either a neder, a nedava, or Korban Todah. A neder is a promise, and a nedava is a contribution, or a Todah is a form of contribution, which we would call today a form of thanksgiving, which could be brought by a woman, for example, who gave birth. She would bring a Korban Todah to thank Hashem for the miracle, for His goodness. The person who came out of danger would bring a Korban Todah. All of these would be Shlamim. Shlamim belong to the Baalim, to the owners, who would bring not to the Kohanim. Certain parts of every animal would be given to the Kohanim. Right? The Kohanim receive certain priestly gifts. But the Korban Shlamim belongs to the owner. He would eat it, and it would have a different status. If you learn about Korbanot, you will find that there's some called Kodashim Kalim, there's some called Kodshe Kodashim. Some are holy of holy, some are lighter holiness. Meaning that they can be eaten outside the Beit HaMikdash, they can be eaten by the owners who brought it, as opposed to the Kodshe Kodashim, which needed to be in the Beit HaMikdash and belonged, or at least parts of it belonged to the Kohanim. They took care of it. Alright, we have a important distinction to make. By the way, there's also a Korban Asham, which will be brought by Nazir and a Metzorah, and other circumstances where a Asham will be brought. Asham was also for certain types of sins, things that were done by mistake, or one had a doubt if he did something. That would be a Korban Asham. And we had the Korban Mincha, which is the smallest form of sacrifice which a poor man would bring. There's of course Korban Pesach, which would be brought once a year, and various other Korbanot that would be brought in Yom Kippurim, but they pretty much fall under these categories, these types of Korbanot. Okay, what's the difference between Nezid and Shogeg? The difference between doing something intentionally and doing something by accident. After all, a Korban Chatat and many other sacrifices were brought for something that was done against the Torah, in other words, one did not fulfill a mitzvah, one, let's say, ate something that's kosher. There was various korbanot for various situations. A korban olah, for example, was for having thoughts, bad thoughts. Ilhurim, olah would be brought for that. However, the chatat, at least, was brought for an avon that was committed bishgaga, not the nizid. What's the difference between committing something intentionally and something by accident? And even something unintentional, there's various degrees. There's something which is negligent. Negligence is not unintentional. You should have been more careful. That's not exactly unintentional. Shgaga means you weren't aware. You didn't see, you didn't notice. This, depending on the circumstances. The chatat was intended only for shgaga. The reason why a person who did something unintentionally brought a korban is that he should not minimize what he did. Oh, it was only an accident. You know how sometimes people say, I'm sorry. No. This is a very serious matter. That is what the Torah requires of you, to bring a sacrifice. This is not a simple matter that you committed an avon. And we'll talk about it later. Why is it so serious? But in the meantime, that's why the Torah requires of him the korban. First of all, to put a stop to the accusation against him. This is for his own benefit. Bring the sacrifice, take care of it right away, eliminate any accusation against you, and start the tshuva process immediately. But it's also intended that one should not minimize what he has just done. Even though it's a mistake, even though it's accidental, unintentional, it's still a big matter. But nizid, if somebody would commit something intentionally, he could not bring any sacrifice. This is, by the way, one of the best and most powerful answers to Christianity, especially those who claim you need blood. You need blood to atone. You understand what I mean? What they mean by you need blood, because
they claim that their man atoned the sins. And how do we know we need blood? They tell us that from your own Torah, it says that you have to bring sacrifices. You need blood. That the problem is that those sacrifices were only for sins that were committed unintentional. If somebody committed something that is Zid, he can't bring even 1,000 sacrifices. They won't accept it from him. What about atoning for those things? They have no answer for that. What you see from this is that atonement has nothing to do with blood. There was a certain reason why Hashem wanted sacrifices, and why it was intended only for those that was committed, for those avonot sins that were committed unintentional. Something that was committed intentional, the mezid, a korban is not sufficient. It won't help it. Why? Because what's mezid? Mezid is something that is done with your clear mind. You thought about it. Like we say, premeditated in this country, right? There's a difference between premeditated murder or manslaughter, right? Premeditated is terrible. It means you thought about it, you planned it, you were aware of it. And we do have free will. You weren't pushed into it. Of course, people have inclinations, but you did it. You decided to do it. So what did you do? You rebelled against Hashem. It had, or actually an avon, which is done by mezid, as opposed to a head, which is ishkata, intentional. Something that is done by mezid is a true open rebellion. Adam and Chava, they went openly against the instructions of Hashem not to eat from that fruit, from that tree. And they were, of course, they fell into the trap of the Nachash. But nevertheless, they did it. They did it intentionally, knowingly, even though they tried to justify it. There's no justification. You're aware of what you're doing, and you know what the law says, you know what the instructions are. But people do all sorts of things to satisfy their curiosity, or just to get, what they want, to satisfy their desires, So they somehow try to justify it, but there's no justification in instruction that's for you. So that is the difference between shogeg and mezid. That shogeg, Torah wanted you not to minimize that one. Plus, it is intended for you to do what? Next time, be more careful. What you did was a very serious thing. Mezid, those messages do not apply. Be more careful next time. He did it intentionally, right? See the difference? So the sacrifice would not help. That whole symbolism of a sacrifice, that whole act, the whole procedure was not necessary for somebody who was in Mezid. He's in deep trouble. He has to do a tremendous amount of teshuvah. That teshuvah, depending on Hashem, may not be sufficient. He may need Yom Kippurim, he may need Yitzurim, he may need to become ill for a couple of years of his life, right? Depending on the Avon, sometimes Hashem has to send additional agents to remove that stain. Sometimes nothing helps until the person dies. Sometimes if he does not do teshuvah, it has to be repaired upstairs in Gehenom. That's what Gehenom is, what Kafakela is. That's what Gilgul, or reincarnation, is all about. It's a tikkun. The person did not complete everything in this world. He was not able to fix everything. Whether he was capable or not is no different. He may have to come back for a second round trip ticket, right? That's called Gilgul. So Hashem offers the tikkunim, the various forms of tikkunim, but He would prefer that we get it right the first time. Okay. We'll see how much time we have. One more point in Parashat Vayikra. After 120, when a person goes upstairs, and returns to his neshama, there will be an argument. The neshama will say, you know what? I didn't do this. The physical body, Hashem, that you gave me is to blame. This physical body was made out of earth and water. It is therefore materialistic, and it wants materialism. And with the Yetzirah, you gave me the drive. I am a pure neshama. It's true. The neshama is pure. The neshama is clean. It's from Hashem. It has no desire to sin, go against Hashem. The guf is the one that has the desires. He loves to eat, loves to drink, loves to sleep, loves to do things that he derives enjoyment from. What is the guf going to say? It's not me. Because the neshama is the captain of the ship. It's like the driver of a car. You have the car moving around, but the car cannot move without the driver. So what does Hashem do? Each one is blaming each other. The neshama has the free will. It makes the decisions, after all. Hashem says, no, you're both going to get punished. Why? What is this compared to? The two guards that the king put in his orchard. Two guards. Who were the guards? The best guards he thought he could have. One was blind, and one was lame. Chiger. You know what I mean? Crippled. He couldn't walk. The king figured these guys can't steal. They can, scare other people away. These are good guards. I'll put them in my orchard. Sure enough, one day, the Chiger, the one who was lame, who couldn't walk, tells the blind guard, you know what? Let's get some some fruits in the trees. They're so beautiful. There's so many of them. So the blind says, The blind tells the Higel, you know what? I can't see. You help out. I can't walk. So what did they both decide? You know what? I'll put you on my shoulders. The blind man tells the Higel, the lame one, you direct me, and I'll carry you. You'll walk with me, right? And you'll pick the fruit, right? That's what they did. When the king saw some fruit missing, he called them over, and he said, well, who took the fruit? So the blind man says, I couldn't take it because I'm blind. The Higel, the lame one, said, I couldn't take the fruit if it wasn't me because I can't move around, right? But the king was smart. He figured what they did, that the blind man carried on his shoulders the lame person, and that is between the two of them, they were able to take the fruit. Hashem says, okay, the Shammai, I understand your case. Guf, I understand your case. Either one of the two of you on your own cannot do it. But I can see you, both of you, doing it if you act together. And that is exactly what happened. The Neshama, by being placed in the guf, by being placed in the body, it is able to act. It is able to perform. The Neshama works through the body. The body works with the Neshama. So when you combine the two, you're able to do mitzvot or to do averot. Right? But of course, in the end, they both have to pay for their crime. The neshama has to be cleansed upstairs, or it has to come back. And the guf has its own set of tikkunim. Part of the tikkun, by the way, is hopefully during Olam Hazeh, when the body suffers, when it becomes sick, it has financial losses, it has all sorts of problems in life. All of this is kaparot. The guf eventually nirkav b'kever, it rots in the grave. There's something called chibuta kever. While the body is in the grave, it gets all sorts of blasted by malachim, by certain angels. The guf also goes through a process of punishment. For what? For the benefit that it derived from anything it was prohibited for it to derive from. The neshama, of course, by being part of the body, by giving instructions, by giving the direction to the body, it also has to have a tikkun. After all, at the end, every avon, whether it's the chatat or the shogeg, causes a rebellion of sorts against Hashem. It has to be repaired. So they both are responsible. Let's see if we have time to do Parashat Tzav. Should we do it today? Okay, let's continue with Parashat Tzav. 2 more minutes. What do you think is Hashem's favorite korban? Among the korbanot. Pasuk says, the one who brings me a sacrifice of todah, of thanks, he's the one that gives me the greatest honor. We see this korbanot, Parashat Tzav, we have instructions on how to bring them, and how the Kohanim perform what they're supposed to perform with the korbanot, and we see that the todah is the best one. Todah meaning saying thank you, bringing a korban not for a sin, but for thanks. In order to better understand why this is the best and most the favorite sacrifice, I'll give you a mashal. There was once a rich man that threw a big party. What's the big party for? His son became bar mitzvah. He was rich, the son was intelligent, he was doing well in his studies, he invited a lot of guests, the guests came, they all enjoyed it, they gave gifts, presents to the boy, and after they all left this big party, each of the guests wished themselves, may we rejoice in the future, similar smachot, right? Okay. That was one rich man in town. There was another rich man on the other side of town who also was throwing a big party, but for a totally different reason. His boy was in jail. He was accused of something. The father had to spend a lot of money on attorneys and bribes until he was able to get his son out of jail. It was something that the son did. He also made a big party. People came to the party, all the friends and guests. They didn't bring along gifts to the child. And when they left the party, they all said goodnight, went home, and they did not wish each other, may we meet in the future in such happy occasions. Nobody wants to have a son like that. Nobody wants to throw a party for something like this, right? Which party is better? The other party is for the bar mitzvah, for a good boy, right? Diligent boy. Not for this. Hashem says, I would prefer you don't bring me the sacrifices for sin. Chataot, ashamot, olot. I would prefer if you give me a korban, bring me a korban todah. On your own, not that you sinned against me. Something special, something nice. Say thank you. That is my favorite korban Hashem. So of course, when one gives tzedakah, when one contributes from his heart, it's better than if he's doing it for kapara. Tzedakah can be used to atone too for sin. But Hashem's favorite is todah. Korban todah, which is for no sin at all, just to say thank you. That is the favorite of Hashem. You will find that there are several sacrifices that are brought and eaten in different places. As I said earlier, There's Kodesh HaKodashim, there's Kodshim Kalim, those that are holier and those that are not as holy. The Torah nevertheless compares them. The Torah considers the sacrifices that were brought as a result of a sin as Kodesh HaKodashim, and it's given the greatest respect, in other words, that it's inside and it's holy of holies, because we don't want to discourage the sinner. The sinner may feel, you know what, I did a terrible thing, I'm distant from Hashem. No, his sacrifice is brought in the Holy of Holies. In other words, in the Bet HaMikdash, it is treated with the utmost respect, as opposed to Kodashim Kalim, that they can be eaten anywhere. And the reason we do this is because we want to show this individual that no, his teshuvah is mekubelet, it is accepted. Hashem holds of it. Look where it's being brought into. Look how it's being treated, how it's being dealt with. And that is all in order to encourage them, to make them feel good. That they shouldn't think, oh, you know, I'm now a sinner. No, you are about to shuvah if you've done everything correctly. Your sacrifice is first class. That is the idea behind Kodesh HaKodashim. Alright, we spoke about Olah. Olah is a sacrifice that was completely burnt. It was a fire offering. It wasn't consumed. And I said that it was brought as a result of bad thoughts. The reason why it's burnt, one of the reasons why it's burnt, is because it's to remind us that thoughts need to be burnt, need to be eradicated from the mind. Because the thoughts are the ones that breed problems. They are the ones that lead to action. If one would not have, it all begins with the thoughts. Now, in Kriyat Shema we say, "Lo taturu achrei levavchem ve'achrei einechem," which means you should not go after your heart and after what your eyes see. Why does it say after your heart first? Because it first begins in the heart. In other words, you have the desire, you covet, right? We should think it should say first. We think that it should say first, "Lo taturu achrei einechem," because the eyes see, and then the actions occur. That's true. If the eyes have seen, action may occur. The eyes are very powerful. However, it all begins in the heart. If a person would not be curious, would not have desire to begin with, if he would neutralize those desires, he wouldn't come to look around and stare. The fact that a person wants to stare is because he wants to. He has a desire. We all see things unintentionally. That can happen. But there's a difference between seeing and staring. This is to stare continuously. For a long time. That's a sur. If you saw something that you're not supposed to see unintentionally, it can happen. We have korbanot for that. We have to be more careful next time. But to stare, that's a sur. Where does the staring come from? It comes from a desire to want to. Okay? So, that is how it begins. It begins with desire. Nevertheless, the korban olah was to atone for the thoughts, because the thought is where things begin and where they take shape and form. And if they're there a long time, they breed or they bring about to action. So the Torah is concerned about thoughts, and the rabbis tell us, they're more difficult, they're more problematic than the Averah itself. The Averah was done, it's too late. In other words, he couldn't hold himself back. But the Hirhurim, you can control those. You can have a better handle of those. You can remove them from your mind. You cannot think about it. And if it's still bothering you, go learn Torah. The rabbis give us various advices on how to defeat the Yetzer Hara. Otherwise, Hashem cannot come and accuse us if He would have given us the ability and the tools of defeating the Yetzer Hara. One of them is learning Torah. The Torah is a tavlin. It's an antidote. It weakens the Yetzer. It keeps us busy. The person who's not busy has thoughts in his mind. The person who's around the wrong people will have bad thoughts, bad ideas too. So you have to protect yourself. So the Korban Olah, by burning it, the Torah is giving us an important message. Burn your thoughts. They are the ones that cause the trouble. That's where the trouble first begins. Then it is Chas v'Shalom to action. It also says the words Kol HaLayla, that he would burn the whole night. That's also a lesson that in performing the mitzvot, one should do it Kol HaLayla, meaning b'msirut nefesh, not just haphazardly. To do it and to let go of it. Just like a sacrifice was left to burn the whole time, one who wants to do something complete for the sake of Hashem in mitzvah in the right way, he has to do it regularly and not quickly, just to get it over with. It has to be done with Sirut Nefesh, with his whole heart. Not just L'Seti de Chovah, just to fulfill the mitzvah, and that's it. The bare minimum. Some people ask, what do I have to do? Just to be a Seti de Chovah. The bare minimum. Why do you want to do the bare minimum? Don't you want to do your maximum for Hashem? Right? That's the difference between the Avodah, the service of some people compared to others. The difference between tzaddikim, those who are righteous, and those who are not so righteous. The ones who are righteous, they realize how important this job is, and they do their maximum, as much as they can, to the last day of their life, as long as they're still healthy. Okay, then we have a very important midrash that says as follows: a person should not feel so bad about the sin that he committed. What's worse that he should feel bad about is what the sin will lead to. The consequences of one sin is much more serious than the sin itself. Once a person commits a sin, it becomes easier for him to commit additional sins in the future. He opened up the door. That is the worst part of it. Had he not done the first one, it would have been more difficult for him to do it. Once you do one, second one, the third time becomes easier. It's powerful. So one has to be concerned not about the sin so much as the opportunity that now is before him, that things from now on, the sins, the same actions that are prohibited, will just be easier for him. He sees the same avon, the same opportunity or similar. He won't hold himself back as much. He's already gotten an entry ticket. That is what the problem is. That is why it has to be stopped on the spot. One has to do teshuvah, one has to regret, one has to remove it in whatever way he can, so not to let it build up and cause him problems in the future. That is the problem, the greater problem of the sin. Not the sin itself, but the consequences that can result out of that action. Okay, real quickly, David HaMelech says, Sas anochi al imratecha k'moteh shval rav. David HaMelech teaches us an important lesson in mitzvot, just like some people are excited to do amirot. The same way a person should be excited to do mitzvot. The excitement should be just like he would be finding tremendous treasure. People would be excited if they won the lottery, right? If one would show that same excitement to mitzvot, that would be a great thing. People, unfortunately, do not have that kind of an excitement. That excitement for mitzvot, in a way, is a kapara for the excitement that he had on Averot. Like we would call in the Kabbalah, tshuva hamishkal. Midah keneged midah. You worked so hard, you tried so hard to do the Averah with so much excitement, you were happy. Well, at least fix it. How? With the same excitement for a mitzvah. You spend so much money on shtuyot and avarim, on silly things. Spend your money on the right things. At least make it equal. Don't spend more on your furniture and on your home than you spend on mitzvot. At least make it equal. You want $10,000 worth of furniture? Okay, so give $10,000 to tzedakah. Don't let the materialism in your life be much more important. Don't let that be the emphasis. Let it at least be equal. If you want it, equal, fine. But the more so, the better it would be if the spiritual would be the emphasis and not the materialism. So David HaMelech is telling us, people become excited for the wrong things. Be as excited or more, hopefully, for the right things, for the Torah and for the mitzvah. Okay, Bashat Tzav, we have the word Tzav, et Aaron. You know what the word Tzav is? Tzav is a Lashon Zerishut, command Aaron. Why is he told here to command? That you should be diligent. We're doing the service of Hashem, one has to be diligent, one has to be quick. Because the Yetzer tries to slow down a person. Laziness is something embedded in everybody. Some people have it more, and some people less. Tzav is a Lashon Zerishut, to be quick to do it, and not out of habit either, as I gave you the story before with the guy reading the instruction. Therefore, there is a emphasis in the Torah to do things bizrizut. And zrizut, by the way, diligence is one of the best characteristics to possess. Anybody who's diligent has a better chance of fulfilling the Torah mitzvot, according to the instructions. In other words, not thinking, because he's careful, he's diligent, he wants to do a good job. And some people have it in them. Some people have to work on it. It is a tremendous trait to work on. A person who's diligent means that he cares about prayer, he cares about coming on time, he cares about coming to a shiur regularly. This shows diligence, because there's always challenges and there's always temptations and always difficult, whether it's from the wife, from your kid, from all sorts of problems, and all sorts of sources. And that's all the Yetzer Hara, of course, trying to remove you from that which he knows is good for you. And if we were to know what's good for us, even if we find out that our mother-in-law is coming out of town and she's arriving at the airport, send her a limousine. Don't go yourself if you have a shiur Torah. And send her a bouquet of flowers too, if you want your wife not to argue with you too much. You have to think about it be'chokhmah, be'tachmulot. You've got to be smart, how to make everybody happy. But we have to know what our priorities are. The shiur Torah, the mitzvah that may not come back later, don't just let it go. You know, it would be very easy for us today just to cancel a shiur and go down Sheva Brachot. But this is kavua, this is tadir, this is steady, this is regular. That is a big mitzvah too, but this is a big mitzvah. Torah pushes aside many, many other mitzvot because of the benefit that one derives from this. Not only because this is a mitzvah of Hashem, the benefit that we derive, that Hashem knows that we need. We need it. This is how we recharge our batteries. That is why there's an emphasis on Tzav. Make sure that he's diligent. Zizut. Be careful not to slow down. Because if you slow down, you lose out. And the last point is Esh Tamid Tukad Ala Mizbeach Lo Tishbeh. The fire was always on the Mizbeach. this fire symbolizes the fire that we're supposed to have. The excitement to do the mitzvot, the desire to do it at all times, even if it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult. We're sick. We're tired. We should always be happy. We should always be excited to do the mitzvot. That excitement, if it's there all the time, or in other words, if it's expressed as a simcha, as enjoyment, it's a guarantee that the Jew will perform the mitzvah, even if it's difficult. In other words, if he gets accustomed to doing things with simcha, and not to complaining, in the future when he becomes sick or becomes old, he will be able to do it too. If people don't do things with simcha, if people complain about it, then when they're faced with a challenge, they'll let go of it. And let me finish with the story that I've told in the past about a father who once complained to a rabbi, why did my son after high school go and become a priest? Whereas the son of my neighbor, who's also a religious Jew, went to yeshiva. The rabbi says, I don't know him either, but maybe when you woke up in the morning and your son asked you where you're going, you said, I have to go to pray. When you were building the sukkah, your son asked you, what are you doing? I have to build a sukkah. Your son asked you, why are you doing this? I have to do this. When the other son then asked the same question to his father, the father says, come help me with the sukkah, with the mitzvah, sukkah. Where are you going, Dad? I'm going to Minyan. Come with me. Where are you going? I'm going to learn Torah. I'm going to shiur. You want to come in here? That son saw the excitement of his father, and he followed his father's footsteps. Your son saw that you have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do this. Your son decided he doesn't have to do it. So the excitement that we have also carries on and is contagious and sticks to our children. That is the idea of Esh Tamid, that our soul should always be inspired to do the will of Hashem.